We're here at Suburban Home Records. Virgil Dickerson.
Hello.
Try this again. Could you tell me maybe just how you got your start with this whole record label business and
Sure.
how you've gotten, I guess you're celebrating what, your anniversary up here
Yeah,
with
our
it?
14th anniversary is this September, and basically went to college in Boulder as a freshman, 1993. Always been a really big music fan, and when I moved in the dorms, met a lot of guys who were into punk rock, into ska, into indie rock, and they started taking me to concerts, started giving me CDs to check out, and I started finding out about bands like Green Day, Skankin' Pickle, Screeching Weasel, The Queers, and it honestly changed my life. It blew my mind because up until that point I was a hip hop and R&B kid, and they took me to see Green Day with Tilt. I saw Skankin' Pickle at the Mercury, and basically from that point on I wanted more or less to dedicate my life to this music that I fell in love with. And so I started a fanzine. Those friends of mine that introduced me to the music started a band called the Fairlanes, and they started playing around locally. When it came time for them to record, I said, well, I'll put out this record because at that point we didn't know of another label that would be interested. And started booking shows at the CU Boulder campus, and just delved full forward into doing all those things. Got a degree in molecular biology, and I was telling you about this earlier. Worked in a lab for about a year, and I hated every minute of my life. Around that same time, I got an opportunity to work for Hopeless Records, which is a label out of Los Angeles, and took that opportunity, moved out there, and gained a lot of great experiences. Wasn't a big fan of Los Angeles, so I moved back, started a record store called Bacamono. Around that same time, this whole time I've been doing my label as a hobby, and during the time that we were doing the record store, we had mixed results, and after about a year we realized that the label and the distribution that we were doing was bringing in just as much revenue as the store, so we decided to focus our attention more on that side of things. And that was in about '99, and since that time we've done so many different things. About 3 years ago we started a company called Vinyl Collective, which is our vinyl online store and our imprint that focuses on licensing records for release on vinyl. And that's been probably one of the smarter things I've done over the last 14 years. And because of that, we're still doing Suburban Home, we're still doing distribution, but we do a lot of vinyl, we still put out CDs, we do digital. We have more bands now than we've ever had. We've been kind of so busy that we've been kind of freaking out lately. But yeah, somehow we're still here after 14 years.
That's great. And I guess you got some some party plans coming up with that. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Well, every year for our anniversary, at least for the last 5 or 6 years, we throw a big weekend of parties where we try to get as many of our bands to come out and play shows. This year on Friday, September 11th and Saturday, September 12th, we have about 12 of our bands playing, and they're playing at Three Kings Tavern, which is our favorite bar in Denver. It's on 60 South Broadway. During the day on Saturday, we're going to throw a garage sale, barbecue at our warehouse where we're going to sell stuff, have beer, hang out all day. And then on Sunday, September 13th, every year we throw a big barbecue at Wash Park, and we have a washers tournament.
What's been your experience with vinyl and the public perception of it? How have you seen it grow, and what is it like to be a dealer in that kind of thing?
Well, it's interesting because when we started the label in '95, our first releases were vinyl only, and that's just what people did back then. In the late '90s, a lot of people saw a decline in vinyl sales, and at that time the rationale for vinyl sales is that you wanted to sell it for less expensive price than CDs, but vinyl cost at that time at least double what CDs cost to manufacture. So at that point, a lot of labels, including my own, stopped putting out vinyl, and it wasn't until about 3 or 4 years ago that we decided, well, hey, let's put out some records and see how this goes. We actually started with a local band called Fear Before the March of Flames, and we licensed their album Art Damage for release on a picture disc, and it went really well. We then tried to do a box set for Every Time I Die, which was a triple LP box set, and that too did really well. And we're like, wow, I think we're kind of onto something. The thing is, vinyl, the people that have been diehard vinyl collectors, they haven't gone anywhere. They've been collecting this whole time, regardless of labels, putting out vinyl or stopping, deciding to stop putting out vinyl. And about 3 or 4 years ago, we just started doing more and more and more of it. And over the last couple of years, the press has just been like talking it up as
Mhm.
if it were, I mean, it is the only physical format that's seen an increase in sales, but it'll never ever be the mainstream format because the honesty about it is that it's a lot harder of a format to listen to.
Mhm.
It's basically a labor of love. You can't just put it on your car. You can't just put it on your iPod.
Mhm.
But the nice thing is, that you get something physical, something tangible. You have bigger artwork, bigger liner notes. To me, vinyl sounds better than any other format. And then, there's a collectability aspect of it, and it's just something nice about listening to an album the way the artist intended you to hear it.
Mhm.
But with the fact that for a lot of our releases we put a digital download coupon with it, so the marriage of digital format and vinyl format is a great thing because I love vinyl, but I also love riding my bike and being able to listen to music on my iPod.
Mhm.
So I think that's helped a lot. But vinyl sales have seen a really big increase over the last few years, but it's also been interesting because as a retailer, we had our best year ever last year because of vinyl. But we've also lately been seeing it's been a little more difficult because the economy has definitely affected people's spending habits. Vinyl is not a necessity, so some people, when faced with, well, do I buy lunch today or do I buy a record? Obviously, they're going to make sure they've got food on their plate. So we're definitely noticing an effect with the economy, but overall, vinyl's been a great thing for us.
That's great. I saw you recently started working with Gregory Alan Isaacoff,
Yeah.
as you mentioned, and he is a local guy. I saw him just actually last weekend at the Mile High Music Festival.
Awesome.
I want to know what's your take on the Denver music scene, and what are some of the bands that you've really liked and seen over the time that you've been here?
Well, I mean, I think the Denver music scene is fantastic. There's so many great bands doing so many interesting things. Gregory Alan Isaacoff, I think, has I think you're going to hear a lot about him. People already are, but I think we're going to see so many great things happen from him. He's a great songwriter. He's a great performer. He's a wonderful person too. But yeah, we started talking with Greg's manager, Sarah, and it just kind of made sense that we would work together, help out with distribution, and if it's kind of an experiment at this point, but if it goes well, we're definitely going to start talking to other local artists. But you had mentioned Paper Bird earlier. I think those guys are fantastic. Bella Caroli are great. Ian Cook is fantastic. I mean, there's a lot of great bands in every kind of style of music. We work with Drag the River, who are from Fort Collins. Obviously, I think the world of them. Andy and Justin, who work for us, are in a great band called Only Thunder. There's also a great metal band called Tauntaun, who is Chris from the Gamuts, and it's his metal band. It's really good. I mean, I could go on and on. There's a lot of fantastic bands. Devotchka are doing really great things internationally. I think they're touring Russia real soon. 303, those guys are breaking merchandise records every day on the Warped Tour right now, and just so many fantastic things are happening right now for Colorado music.
It's
good.
It's an exciting time.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the questions I have. Do you have any last words? Anything people should know?
Well, the message I always try to tell people is, whether it's supporting independent record labels or mom and pop record stores, I think it's really important to know where your hard-earned money is going. Obviously, when you spend money at McDonald's or Best Buy or whatever chain or conglomerate, that money does not go back into our local economy. You should buy your records at Twist and Shout. You should, eat at Watercourse or any of the Illegal Pizza or any of the great independent restaurants around town. And obviously you should support Suburban Home Records and Vinyl Collective. But yeah, I think that just knowing where your money's going and trying to support the small guys, because especially in the economy the way it is, independent retailers and independent restaurants need your money more than ever. So definitely think about that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I got to say, thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
For this.